Hello everyone, welcome to our transfer Q&A. My name is Karen. I am a fourth year psychology major. I am one of the peer academic advisors for the School of Social Sciences. Just like all of you, I am also a transfer student. I transferred from Long Beach City College. So during this panel, students will be provided with some quick explanations about their degree checks. We have prepared some panel questions for our PAAs to answer, and in the end, you will have the opportunity to ask questions in the Q&A chat if some were not answered. You're welcome to ask questions in the Q&A chat throughout the panel, but keep in mind that we will not answer them until the end of the session. Please do not write your questions in the general chat, as that is reserved for campus links and resources. I will provide more details about that as we go on. This session will last about an hour, 30 minutes, so we hope that you all stay since we are going to be answering your questions at the end of this session. But for right now, let's get started with some important reminders, explanations about your degree checks. Okay, so I hope that looks good. Okay, so in the first column where it says general education requirements, wherever there's like an I get C box, so like for example, right here and right here, that just means that like your I get C certification covers those requirements. And let's see, yeah. However, like the I get C does not cover the requirements for the upper division writing requirement and the social science computer technology requirement. So for example, this student majoring in economics is still going to need their upper division writing requirement, their social science computer technology requirement, the economics 122A, 100B, 100C, and yeah, and then they're still going to need 5 more classes for their econ, the 6 additional 4-unit economic sessions. And then let's see what else. Oh, and then for example, for this business economics student, same thing, the I get C box just means that your I get C certification covers those requirements. They're still going to need the upper division. And then the empty boxes just means that you need those classes. Wherever there's like a little star next to the class, it just means that that class was already fulfilled. So don't enroll in those classes. So like right here. And then wherever there's like an F20, it means that you're currently enrolled in those classes or you're planning to take them. So for example, F20 just means, yeah, all 20. And let's see what else. If something does look familiar or you think that you have already taken the class, check with an academic advisor from your course enrollment email. Let's see. And then these pretty much explanations to the right are pretty much self-explanatory. You need a 2.0 GPA for your major, a 2.0 GPA in the upper division courses, 36 of the final 45 units that you have to complete on campus for the residency requirement, and you must complete 180 units total. Same thing for business economics. One more thing is that oh yeah, your units and your classes that you took at the school that you're transferring from is still not updated, but everything should be updated by the 6th week of fall quarter, so your patience is really much appreciated. Please do not forget to send in your I get C certification or the partial I get C. You or your counselor should email it to our office or to the Office of Admissions. And I will be posting those emails in our regular chat. But meanwhile, do any of our PAAs have anything to say?
Yeah, I just want to clarify something really quickly, if that's okay.
Yes.
So first off, you guys might be wondering what is in red. What's F20? What does that mean? It just means fall 2020. That means you're taking that literally this fall, so don't worry about that. And then as Karen talked about with the stars, if there is that means the requirements fulfilled, do not take that class. For example, if you see there's a star on Soc 1 = 1, that means you cannot take Sociology 1 at UCI, or else your schedule is going to be like, you already got credits for this class. What are you doing? You don't need this class. So try not to get that confused. if you have more questions about that, ask an academic advisor. But yeah.
Okay. And I have posted the emails just in case. So before we move to our panel questions, these are questions prepared for our lovely PAs to answer. Peer academic advisor are also students just like you. We are taking classes, but we are also helping students since we know how hard it is to transition to a university. We went through a quarter-long training to help students with scheduling classes, general academic questions, and academic resources. Today we have, I believe, 8 of our PAAs who will now be introducing themselves.
Hi everyone, my name is Catherine. I'm a fourth year sociology and psychology major, and I'm excited to be here with you all today.
Hi everyone, I'm Christine. I'm also a fourth year and I'm a double major for psychology and political science. It's really nice to get to talk to you guys, even though we can't see your faces, but it's really exciting to know you guys are here.
Hello everyone, my name is Jessica and I'm a fourth year double majoring in Quantitative Economics and Data Science. Welcome to UCI, my fellow Econ students.
Hi, my name is Christy. I'm a third year double majoring in education and social policy and public service. And welcome to UCI.
Hi everyone. How are you doing? Hi everyone. My name is Mariman. I'm going to be a fifth year. I'm a double major in public health policy and international studies. Congrats and welcome to UCI. I'm very excited to be here with you all today.
Hi everyone, I'm Olivia and I'm a third year student. I'm double major in economics and data science and hope we're gonna take the same class later that quarter.
Hi everyone, my name is Sam and I'm a third year majoring in business economics and minoring in art history. Welcome to UCI.
Last but not least, hi guys, my name's Waylon and I am a fourth year as a psychology major. Let's answer all your questions.
Okay, so the first question we have for our panel is, how did you adjust to UCI as a transfer? How did you feel and what did you do? How long did it take you to adjust? Okay, so I was a transfer, so I'll go ahead and answer first. So to begin with, academically, it was hard just because UCI follows a quarter system, so it took me about 2 quarters to like adjust to it. Also, just a quick recommendation, I suggest like enrolling in 12 to 14 units just because like it is your first quarter here at UCI and everything is remote, so it's completely different. Socially, that was the hardest part for me just because in the beginning I didn't know anyone and I was super shy. However, joining clubs and going out of my way to talk to my housemates, that really helped me out a lot.
Okay, so as the only other transfer student, I think here. So for me, it was pretty overwhelming and it was like a rush just because for transfer students, we only have about 2 years while or 3, depending if you want to take another year, which is totally fine. Which like, you know, for freshmen, they got 4 to 5 years and we're like, oh my gosh, we have to do everything so fast and I have to figure everything out. I thought it was going to be easier because I came from a community college, not from a high school. But honestly, even though, yeah, we came from a community college, we already know how college works. At the same time, university is a whole new ball field. It's totally different. Like, I was always getting lost on campus. UCI is big. And once we get on campus, you're going to probably get lost at least like twice, at least. Me, I got lost like 5 times. I definitely try to use Google Maps and Zot Finder, which was a huge help to helping me find my classes and where to go. And as Karen said, the quarter system is a whole different thing to get used to. Like 10 weeks, you already got like midterms and papers sometimes due by the 2nd week. So it's like crazy. So definitely plan ahead, get a schedule, planner, whatever you need to keep track on deadlines, and definitely join clubs to get yourself involved in campus. So then you don't feel super alone and lonely like I did my first year. Definitely try to get involved.
Thank you, Waylon. So next question is, how did you get involved on campus? What clubs or organizations are you in? And how can students get involved?
Okay, I'll go. So personally, I wasn't a transfer student. I just came in as a freshman. But I think this can still apply to you guys. There's always like when students come in and enroll into the school, like there's a lot of students who want to explore like all the resources, all the clubs, and all the organizations that are happening. They're just really curious people. I was not one of those people in like freshman year. My friends were really curious though, so there's always gonna be someone that wants to go try out different clubs and see like where they fit in. And they're always gonna want to take someone because, well, for the most part, because it's just kind of hard like really putting yourself out there like among a bunch of people who are already part of like the organization or club, and you might just feel a little left out. So it's good to take someone with you, first of all, if you're trying to explore something new so you don't feel like too alone in the setting. So yeah, if you have any friends that want to try out stuff like groups or clubs or organizations, I highly recommend you like tag along with them if they offer, or just be like, oh, are you interested in anything lately, like can I come with you? I've been in my current club, which is the ICA club in Christ Alone, for like 3 years or 2 years now. So yeah, I found that in like end of freshman year too through someone else. So I would highly like recommend you try those two. They're good because if you want to balance like your social and educational life, that also really helps.
So another way to find clubs or organizations is to have a Facebook account. Honestly, that is how most clubs kind of communicate their schedules when they're holding meetings. And there's actually like UCI specific accounts on Facebook. That's where a lot of them post. So definitely making a Facebook account is a really big way to actually be able to find clubs on campus.
So usually in order to like get into clubs and like find out, oh, what are all the clubs about? We usually have this Anteater involvement fair, which is where we have like rows of booths just like waiting for you to come up to them just to ask for information, ask for meeting times, so on and so forth. Since we're in quarantine, I believe we're gonna have a virtual one, but I'm not entirely sure like how it's gonna work, but we will see, and just keep like open your emails, keep track of everything. And if it's okay, I would like to advocate for 2 clubs I'm in, if any of you are interested. I'm in Tomono Kai, which is Japanese and the Japanese American Appreciation Culture Club. Anyone can join, literally, as long as you enjoy Japanese culture. I'm also part of the Anteater Student Audio Production Club, which is pretty much music production, making music, mixing and mastering. So if you're interested in those 2, I will drop links below. And I'll also drop the link as to where you can explore the over 600 clubs and organizations on campus. So yeah, definitely explore, look around, get a Facebook, as Sam said.
Okay, we'll move on to our next question. So tell us about a campus resource that you recommend the most. What are some resources that transfer students should take advantage of? I'll get started with that question. So at UCI, there's this thing called the Transfer Student Hub. So basically, the Transfer Student Hub consists of many other programs within it. So for example, one program is called the First Year Transfer Experience Program. They provide workshops, LARC scholarships, which is free tutoring for students if you're involved in, if you're part of the program, book loans, discounted printing, and then there's also the Transfer Triumph program, which helps students who are struggling or they may be on academic probation. And just to quickly mention, if you were a former current foster youth, there's this program called Foster Youth Resilience in Education. So it doesn't matter what age you were in the foster care system, they will accept you. It's not like community colleges who only accept students who are in the system after the age of 16. So yeah, there's the Transfer Student Hub and Foster Youth Resilience in Education if you guys are interested.
Okay, I swear this is going to be the last time I talk a lot. But okay, so for me, I definitely would like to advocate for the division of career pathways. Just as for me as a transfer student, again, I felt really rushed to get everything done, find out what I'm going to do with my career, what am I going to do with my major, so on and so forth. How am I going to get a job, you know? So pretty much the division of career pathways pretty much helps you get in with connections, helps you like, you know, find jobs around the area, prepare for those jobs, think about future occupations. They help you with your career potential by giving you like tools and support. Like for example, I took advantage of their mock interviews as well as their resume workshops, and they definitely helped me, you know, with preparing for, oh, what type of questions are they going to ask? What's the best answer to those type of questions? What are they looking for? And if I'm honest, they kind of helped me get the peer academic advising job, because I didn't even know this existed really. I didn't know it was like for us, like for students. So without them, I probably wouldn't be here. And I honestly can't thank them enough. So I definitely recommend you making an appointment with a counselor or meeting with them and, unlocking your career potential.
There are two campus resources that I would like to mention. The first one is the Economics Learning Center. It's like especially for Econ students, is super helpful. The ELC is staffed by graduate teaching assistants in economics and undergraduate peer assistants who have distinguished themselves as excellent students in economics. There are a few teaching assistants and peer assistants to help you with any questions regarding homework or class materials. And they also have like a schedule of each teaching assistant or peer assistant's tutoring session. So if you would like to stick with one assistant, you can do so. Just go to his or her session. It's totally free and useful. I went there a few times and you can really get a lot out of it from the sessions if you really pay attention. So definitely recommend. I remember there's one session prioritized Econ 122A and B, the class, and the other one prioritized Econ 100 ABC. So for more information, please visit their website that I'll be putting in the general chat shortly. Another campus resource I would like to mention is the ASUCI, Associated Students, University of California, Irvine. It's like an undergraduate student government. They are responsible for like quarterly vendor fair, large-scale school-wide events such as the Welcome Week, Shocktoberfest, and Summerland. The reason why I want to mention this is they have like a discounted tickets. So I got tickets to Universal, Disneyland, San Diego Zoo, and Aquarium. So they're pretty good. So, yeah, I'll also put the link to the website below.
I wanted to also mention a few resources as well. I wanted to talk about the Writing Center. So UCI actually has a Writing Center. They usually hold them, so like they have a Writing Center, but they also have like these spots around campus that you could find on their website where you could go and you could get like walk-in advising. But you could also set up an appointment with like the people at the Writing Center so they could take a look over at your essay, scholarship application, and also since everything's virtual, you could actually have like Zoom appointments once the quarter starts. I've used it multiple times like in the past, and they're really, really helpful. Like the feedback is very insightful. So I would definitely recommend you to use it. Like, of course, if you have a draft and you want them to look over it before you submit, then they could really help you with that. I also wanted to talk about this other center on campus where I volunteer at. It's called the UCI Center for Student Wellness and Health Promotion. So right now, like since everything's remote, like you can't access all the resources, but once school opens up, like you have access to like massage chairs in there. So you could like make an appointment for 30 minutes and use massage chairs. They also, we're most popular also for our condom co-op. So they give free condoms to students. They also have like a lot of health fairs and like volunteer opportunities. So if you're interested in that as well, you could also take a look at the website that I'll link in the chat. And yeah, very exciting.
I wanted to add on to the Writing Center. It's really useful. It's actually really popular, so I would highly recommend you sign up for those early on if you're like in a writing class or you're in a class that a lot of people have like problems writing in, or like, you just like if there's a due date coming by, like other people are going to have a similar due date for their writing. So they're probably also going to look for resources like the Writing Center or somewhere else to help them improve their essay or work. So just make sure you're really on top of that. Make sure you're able to take a slot for the appointment, because a lot of times I tried looking at the Writing Center's appointment system and a lot of the times are already taken. Sometimes there were just not even any left. So yeah, just be really on top of scheduling the time. And then also I want to recommend SARC, which is a Social Science Academic Resource Center. I actually interned there last year and it was a really good experience. Because I interned there and I used so many of the resources too as a student, just believe me when I say like it's so useful. Like they help you with a lot of stuff. Like in your coursework, they teach you how to develop skills, right? But then in SARC, they teach you how to develop those skills into professional assets. So basically they help you with research, internships. If you're interested in graduate school, they also help you with that. And also there's like a step-by-step process they can help you with, like your resume, CV, cover letter, graduate school application, the deadlines, making a sell sheet. I didn't even know what a graduate school portfolio was until I asked them about like what I should be getting ready for graduate school, because I'm trying to apply to law school. There's just a lot of little things that I wouldn't have known, like how to do. Like my law school internship, like I was able to intern at a law school because of all of the help that SARC gave me on my resume and cover letter. It helped me get the application ready, and they also help you with mock interviews too. So if you're like, I don't know what to expect from an interview, they actually do like live interviews with you. You can also request for that through Zoom now because it's all remote. So they tell you like what materials to bring, like what you should say, like, or what you should be saying around, and like they really help you understand like what you need to do to get like your life set and ready. A little bit different from the career of division of pathways, because the division of career pathways is more about like careers centered, which is really great. And then SARC is a lot more of like in general things you might need to learn. So yeah, check it out.
Actually, I have, sorry, Christy. Oh my God. Okay, I keep cutting off. Okay, so actually during this time, I have one more resource to like introduce is campus recreation. Especially during this quarantine, a lot of classes are held like on Zoom, so you can like study all the courses like yoga or body fitness online. And especially if you're so bored at home and there's nothing else to do, you can check it out. I will send the link in the chat.
I guess like the resource that I wanted to share is the counseling center. I don't know, like especially now, I guess like with everything going on, mental health, it can be taking a toll on your mental health. And just like transitioning to something new is also stressful. So the counseling center, they offer, well, like they're not doing like on-campus services, but they still have like online workshops with like stress management, time management, or even like a little bit more like specified, like if dealing with imposter syndrome. You can get short-term therapy. There are group services, and there's also like peer programs if like that's something that you would want to like receive that service from or apply to those peer programs. So yeah, I'll link it in the chat as well.
I just want to add one last thing. This isn't like a specific resource, but I would just say really utilize your channels of communication with your professors and your TAs, even your fellow students. Everyone has a different like set of opinions or like advice. So I would especially say like the TAs and professors are great helps for coursework as well as professional development. So don't be afraid to reach out via email or on office hours, attend those office hours, and just keep in touch with them because they have a ton of information.
Okay, thank you, everyone. So the next question is, you recently experienced remote learning at UCI, which is on a quarter system. Tell us more about your experiences and best advice.
Okay, yeah, so for the remote quarter, basically it was very different because we all experienced like the in-person kind and then the remote kind, and it was very abrupt. But first I'd like to say it's not that bad, honestly. The professors and TAs were just so understanding, like all the instructors and like the faculty too. Like I hope you guys keep in mind like the school and everyone in it is using Zoom for like around the first time. Like a lot of them have not used Zoom before ever in their lives, and not everyone is technologically advanced. You know, I'm not that great with technology either. I needed a lot of help, and UCI was the one that actually taught me how to use Zoom so well through my internship at SARC, basically. So everyone has to learn from somewhere, and the professors, even though like they had to basically scramble to fit all of like the coursework material for the next quarter for remote system, like only a few weeks in advance, like they had that information that they had to do that. They did it so well, and they did it all for the students. They were so good at communicating too. Like they basically took a survey. Some of them did for me at least, saying like, what time zone are you in? Like, can you do office hours around this time? Like what works best for the students, basically. And they also said if you have any issues or concerns because of the COVID situation or the protests or anything else going on in your life, to just please contact them. So yeah, everyone was just so good at that. And I had no worries at all, honestly, because the professors took such good care of us, and the instructors as well, and the faculty. I would just say, just don't expect your lectures to be released, like the pre-recorded lectures, if it is to be released on the day that you signed up for a lecture, and also the time that you signed up for that lecture, because the recorded lecture might come like a week later, or a few days later, or maybe a few days earlier than you expected. And that's just because everyone's still working with this technology, and they have things in their life too. So some of you may have a live lecture, but I hear it's pretty rare, like not a lot of people I know at least had a live lecture. As for discussion, it could be live discussion. Some people, like, I don't know, I guess some professors like recorded themselves and they just reviewed the session with them. But as for me, like it was live, like you just showed your face on camera. Some professors didn't care. You talked it out like a normal discussion. You just sat there. And then I would just really say keep a planner or a calendar to make sure you always review all of your lectures, especially if it's pre-recorded, because you might lose track of all the lectures you have to watch if it's like released during different times of like the weeks that you weren't expecting it to be released. And the days kind of blur together because you sit in one place. So make sure you just walk around a little, and make sure you just have like a set place where you actually just get your work done versus just like everywhere in the house, because then it doesn't feel like a break or it doesn't feel like you're actually working. So yeah, that's my spiel.
So like Christine said, all the professors, the TAs, they were really understandable and flexible with everybody's situation, and UCI itself still had updates about resources on campus that were open. They also updated us about like the COVID situation, all that sort of stuff. I think the biggest problem for me was the fact that since I was home and everything was online, that I like didn't reach out anymore, because when I was on campus, you know, going to class, going to school, it was so much easier to access those resources, even though it technically isn't, because it's so easy now just to go online, but it felt easier because I was actually like moving, I was going places, I had more motivation to actually go to these resources. So my biggest advice would just be like, remember that UCI has so many things still open and still involved, and they still want you to come and utilize them. So just like, I like really had to struggle to find motivation to do any of my work, to actually go to class, to watch my lectures, to reach out to my professors. I don't even think I really reached out to any of my professors during my remote quarter. So yeah, that's what I would just recommend. I'd recommend that like, don't lose track of all the time, because it goes by so fast. Like you feel like you have so much time, especially when it's remote and it's more of like on your own schedule, but it goes by so fast before you even realize it. So yeah, just definitely make sure that you're reaching out to people and that you're still staying connected. One thing that I did every day was that, well, not at first, but after a while, I tried actually like getting ready for my day, like actually getting dressed, you know, brushing my hair, doing small things like that, because it just made me feel like I was more on schedule. I was going places, I was just staying home, but still it was really nice. So just do things that make you feel happy too, like kind of like things that you enjoy, like little breaks and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, just like take care of yourself during this remote quarter as well.
Personally, okay, firstly for me, I like to, again, use a planner. Planner is a big thing to keep track of deadlines, just because when you're at home, everything just blurs together and you forget about all your midterms and papers. And it's just like, oh my gosh. So definitely a planner. For me, I like using phone alarms. So like if my phone reminds me, oh, you're supposed to be working on this class right now, get off your phone type of thing. Same thing with support groups. I'll have my friends be like, hey, can you like make sure I'm not on like Twitter or YouTube at like this time because I know I have a class. And they're like, yeah, that's totally fine. So they'll like text once in a while asking me if I'm doing homework and making sure I'm like not watching TV. Also, communicate with your like, since most of us are at home and we're all online, we're gonna be at home at our desk and our family might come in, or dorm mates, whoever, and they'll be like, hey, you wanna play Animal Crossing? Or hey, can you help me make dinner or do chores or whatever? Thing is, you have to communicate, tell them I'm working, I'm doing homework, I really can't. Dedicate that time for you and your class and get everything done so you don't procrastinate and end up dying in like the last week. So yeah, that's what I recommend.
Okay, so next question. For our PAAs who dorm or live near UCI before the pandemic happened, how do you commute around campus? What are some advantages and disadvantages?
So for those living on campus or around campus, we actually have a bus system, the Anteater Express, which will take you around like UCI and like sort of the surrounding area where UCI housing is. Unfortunately, for this upcoming quarter, usually it has like other lines that during the weekend will take you to places outside of UCI. So like Diamond Jamboree, which is like a popular place off campus, but they won't actually have that bus system running for this upcoming quarter just due to the circumstances. But all transport around UCI will still be in service. So that's usually how I got to campus, or if I was visiting like a friend in another housing area, that's how I got there. But I also just walked, it's really like everything kind of close to each other. So it's really not that bad to walk if that's something that you like to do. And also I know a lot of people who bike. We have like specific bike lanes on campus as well for people who want to bike or scooter or skateboard.
Just to add on to what Samantha said, yeah, we have the Anteater Express. No, you don't have to pay for it, and no, you don't have to show your ID. Just hop in. That's about it. So yeah, and sadly, the West Irvine route, the Diamond Jamboree, and the Irvine Spectrum lines are not going to be in service during fall. However, like all on-campus routes will be in service. That's what I have.
I would say that also just like an advantage to living on campus or living around campus was that for me personally, it was easier to meet people. I know that that's going to be like a little bit harder for this upcoming quarter just because, remote learning and everything. But I don't know, I'm still going back to campus in fall, so I'm kind of excited just to be able to even go and walk on the campus and kind of feel like I'm back in college, like I'm back here, I'm back at UCI. So that would be like one advantage that I'm like really looking forward to about being back at UCI itself. And a disadvantage, I guess, would be paying for housing just because it's a lot of money. And if you stay home, that's definitely rent that you could save.
I guess another advantage of living on campus is like, I don't know, I felt like more tied like to school as like a community, I guess. Kind of like if we're all just like chilling in our own apartments, but then those like spontaneous moments where like your friends are like, oh hey, let's go get like, I don't know, donuts or something, then like you could just randomly all just go and get some, versus like if you're at home, it's kind of difficult to do those spontaneous things. And then a disadvantage, I don't know, for me it was just like homesickness. But like I tried to like bring like pictures and like little notes from like my family and friends to combat that. And like Sam said, it's expensive to like live on campus, but it has its advantages.
I think since everyone talked about mostly about dorming, I'll just talk about my piece because I commute from home, which at first was like a dream because I got food 24/7 and housing is kind of free. But at the same time, the disadvantage is the driving. You always have to go back and forth from campus. You have to take measures about, oh, how's traffic? You know, you have to take time of, oh, I have to wake up earlier to get to class compared to the people at the dorm who has to do like a 5 to 10 minute walk, right? So for me, it was just traveling and driving all day. That was the biggest disadvantage. And then like trying to go to clubs at like 6 p.m. at night, I'm like already tired from going around all day. But again, it's really worth going to a club. I really think you should try it, even though, you know, even like it's actually now easier because we're now online. So you can obviously just go on Facebook and just text them now, and you can just talk to this club from home. But once we're on campus, I really do recommend joining a club, even though it's tiresome at some point, but still, it's worth it. The social events are so much fun.
Just really quickly, speaking of driving, if anyone is planning on bringing a car, like if you're planning on living on campus and bringing a car, just be aware that it's not cheap. So not to like deter you too heavily, but it's about $300 or so per quarter, which on top of rent can really take a toll on like how you allocate your like money. So just keep aware like that it's not really cheap. I thought it was kind of annoying to keep paying so much just to like park there and then take the bus because parking on campus is also expensive. So just keep aware of the cost in general for parking because sometimes it can add up, which is not great.
Okay, thank you. So our final question before we get started with our Q&A, our question is, how can students get involved in research? Are any of our PAs involved in research?
So I'm actually, oh, sorry, Karen.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm actually involved in research. I was involved this past year, and I'm going to be involved this upcoming year as well. The way I was involved was I honestly just looked at my emails and like I saw this really cool opportunity sent by like the program in public health, and I just took advantage of it. Like I sent an application and everything. So it was for like a clinical and translational research preparatory series. So it's like a year-long research seminar where I learned about like research ethics, how to conduct my own independent project. In the winter quarter, like I was assigned to a faculty mentor, so I was able to work directly with a professor in the Chicano Latino department and also in the program and public health department. So I was able to meet with her one-on-one, able to learn from her, have meetings with her, so she got to know me on a personal note. And I learned so much from her that I asked her to continue being my mentor this upcoming year, in part as part of the public health honors research program. So in that program, I'll actually be conducting my own study and then also writing an honors thesis throughout the year. So that's very, very exciting. I would definitely say research is really cool to learn outside of the classroom and to work directly with professors, especially if you're thinking about graduate school. It'll really be helpful if you ever ask for like a letter of rec. So yeah, take advantage because UCI is a research university. So like all your professors and everybody, they're conducting some sort of research. So it's always cool to learn from them. And I'm sure they'll always be happy to talk to you about it as well.
So at UC High, there's a program called the Undergraduate Research Opportunities Program. They're hosting events online right now to ask questions about any sort of research that you're interested. Also, if you go to their website, they have a list of on and off campus research opportunities. There's also the Student Research Interest Form. So it's basically a form where you talk about yourself, your research interests, and your goals. Then a research counselor will contact you via email to make an appointment. And there's also the faculty profile system to find professors who have research labs, or you could look at their research interests. So you could email them and ask them if they have like a research lab or if they're recruiting anyone.
I actually found my research opportunity from UROM, the Undergraduate Research Opportunities Program, which was mentioned by Karen. So they have like brief descriptions about each research opportunity available on the website. I picked one that I was interested in and emailed the professor and asked like if you are still like hiring more research assistants. After a brief interview, I was in the research lab. So I definitely recommend checking out the Europe website if you're interested in finding a research project. Also, just feel free to directly talk to a professor during office hours to find out his or her current research. You can even propose a new research topic to them and see if they are interested. I feel like there are a lot of advantages of being involved in a research project. It will definitely help you improve your creative thinking skills and communication skills. In addition to that, just like Medima mentioned, if you want to get in a graduate program, it's super helpful to make one-on-one connections with professors from your research because they tend to know you better than a random professor from some class that you never talked to before. They can also write you a more personalized and detailed letter of recommendation. Also, applications for graduate schools usually start in October or November of your third year. It depends on schools and programs, but if you really want a quality letter of recommendation, definitely reach out to the professors and ask for research opportunities as soon as possible.
Okay, so that seems that we have finally reached the end where we will be answering all of your questions that were written in the Q&A chat. We will be answering your questions out loud chronologically. The regular chat, please don't write your questions there since we are going to be sending links and resources. However, we cannot answer questions regarding your housing or financial aid application since that is out of our expertise, but we will try our best to answer those questions, maybe provide you with links. We can answer questions, however, about our housing experiences or recommendations. So if you have any questions that pertain specifically to you as well, please email an academic advisor. So let's get started.
Okay, so our first question is, what are some good programs? How do you know which one is best for us? What is good programming? Do you mean like major or classes? I'm not sure. Does anyone else want to share?
Can the person who sent that question specify, like, do you mean like organizations or like specific programs under your specific major? Because there's a lot of programs in UCI. So we'll get back to your question once you've gotten back to us specifically which programs. I think we can move on to the next one for now.
Okay, the next question we have is, with COVID going on right now, would clubs still be hosting events or recruiting students? The same question applies to frats and sororities. I think so, they are still hosting.
So like we said earlier, there is going to be a virtual Anteater involvement fair, which is also how sororities and frats will be kind of like recruiting for members. I'm gonna drop the link in the chat below, but there's actually a link for like specifically frats and sororities about how to even like fill out an interest form. But more information about the virtual AIF should be sent out in the next upcoming weeks.
Just to add on to that question, definitely most of the events or like recruiting will be like online through Zoom. That's about it.
But I want to say, if you find like by yourself online, like a club or organization or program you really seem interested in, but you're not sure if they're still going to be continuing during the remote season, or if they're looking for new recruits, then I would definitely reach out to them. They usually always have some form of contact information on that webpage. If that webpage is like specified to them, you know, like that could be through email or like phone number. I don't know what they might have on there. Usually it's by email. So I would definitely reach out to them, give them like an email, like just say you're interested in the club and see if like they're still recruiting, because I know if there's a lot of clubs, it's really hard to kind of shift through all of them. They're just too many. So if you already see one that you're interested in, just reach out to them.
Okay, I think we're gonna move to the next question. Hi, I'm a transfer from LBCC as well, Long Beach Community College, right? Yeah. And I am an Econ major with a minor in public health. I was wondering if you guys had any advice on topics to review for upper div Econ classes before classes start, or general advice for the major. Thank you.
I'm definitely gonna say like to review for your micro and macro. Yeah, they're pretty similar, but yeah, please do that because if you're gonna take 100 theory of econ, it's basically similar thing of your like lower division micro and macro. So if you like have a pretty well knowledge of that, you'll be fine.
Yes, brush up on those math skills because me, myself, I'm not that good at math. And, you know, when I went to class, I was like, I'll be fine. I took my math. I should have definitely reviewed. So definitely before taking Econ Upper Divs, review that math.
Just quickly, I want to add that there are a lot of graphing for Econ 105 series, so for quantitative economics students. So be prepared for a lot of graphs.
Okay, so we're gonna move on to the next question. I have questions on writing classes and some classes on number 10, on the blue paper you just showed. Can you explain more about writing classes? Is it critical thinking like students took at community college? And if it is, do I need to take it again if I took it before I transferred to UCI? Also, classes in the number 10 section, do we have to take again at community college? Thank you.
So for the classes on number 10, you don't have to take it at a community college. You have to take it here at UCI. For the writing class, I think it depends on the type of upper division writing course that you take. I'm not sure if our econ PAs could give a little feedback.
I haven't taken any upper div writing. I plan to take it like at the end of my college career. So, but I feel like it's more about econ research. I'm not sure.
Yeah, since that's a specific question pertaining to you, like I would just say email it at the email address that we linked below in the chat box. So a full-time advisor, one of the PAs can definitely get back to you on that. We could look at your records and everything too. Should we move on to the next question?
Yeah, I forgot to unmute. So our next question is one more question about double major. My major is BE, and can I study double major in business econ and business administration? Sam?
I honestly don't know. I would recommend emailing an academic advisor or even our SOCSI PA email, and we'll be able to like get back to you. But I do know for the biz admin major, it is a major you have to apply for, so it is a lot harder to get into. It's more difficult. Like I originally wanted to be a biz admin major, and I came in undeclared. But it's honestly so hard to get into, and I did not have the grades, so I went to biz econ, which still allows me to kind of do what I still wanted to do and what I had in mind. But I do not know if you can double major in both of them.
If you want, we have a lot of full-time academic advisors, so you can like pick and choose whichever one you want. I'll basically link in the chat box below right now, like the link where you can find all of our wonderful academic advisor emails. So you could pick and choose from one of those and ask that question to get your answer.
I'm actually thinking like you can, because I think the overlapping classes are only Econ 20 and 20B, I think. So like if you wanna like double major this two, biz ad and biz econ, you can check the major requirements courses. If they're not overlapping like more than 2 or 3 classes, you can take it. Right?
Okay, our next question is how many hours would you say you spend on average doing homework and studying? I would say like 5 hours per week for me to go like reviewing lecture notes, doing homework, and like, yeah, like organize the material a bit.
For me, I think it like for one class, I think I at least dedicate 2 hours. So like 1 hour for like all my lectures and then another hour for like any assignments that I have to do or discussions, so on and so forth. Obviously, if you have like a paper or a midterm to study for, then obviously you're gonna have, take more time to study. But usually 2 hours for each class for me.
Yeah, that's kind of, yeah, I would agree with probably 2 hours is like a good kind of like time allotment for every class. I think I actually spend more time now that it's remote because I tend to go over the lectures a little bit more now that they're recorded. So yeah, probably 2 hours per class, definitely. Okay.
I want to say something.
Okay.
Just to add on real quick, well, it's kind of off tangent, but since we already mentioned to you guys already that a lot of the lectures will be pre-recorded for most students, yeah, I made a really big mistake. Like when you're an in-person lecture, you can't ask the professor to replay like what they said, or the instructor what they said. Even if it goes really fast, you just kind of like infer from what they're talking about, and you're like, yeah, they said this, and then you just like keep typing, and then you review your notes kind of after, or like you ask during like discussion hours or something like that. But you don't like go back. The time allotment for a lecture is just like an hour 30 or like an hour or 15 minutes. Like that's it. After that, it's done. But then once the pre-recorded lecture version started, I kind of started replaying it too often. Sometimes the time that my lecture should have been was doubled because I kept going back and like trying to understand what they said. So I would just say like for the very first time you're listening to a lecture, unless it's super important information, just keep going until the lecture is done. And then if you feel like in your notes there's like a gap somewhere and you really didn't understand it, then go back and like try listening to it again. Because yeah, just know that your lecture notes should not be the exact wording of like what your professors or your instructors say. It should just be like a good enough summary. And then if you're lucky enough to have pre-recorded lecture, then before a midterm or a quiz or a final, you can use them to like kind of like a podcast to hear again if you feel like it wasn't understood well enough. But yeah, don't spend too much time on them.
Okay, we're going to move on to the next question. Would there be resources to know what sports are planning to do during the fall quarter or upcoming quarters?
If only we had court.
I mean, I would say yes. I think that there's probably a website that we can try to find real quick and we can link it in the chat that'll probably give updates about what sports, I guess UCI sports are specifically planning to do for fall quarter and all the rest of the quarters. For club sports, I know, because I'm on the UCI women's club volleyball team, and I know that we're not technically allowed to like have in-person practices, but we're still going to be operating as a club, which means that we'll still be recruiting members and still holding like events during, or remote events and like online events during the fall quarter. So if it's like a club sport you're interested in, I'm pretty sure, well, I'm not certain, but there's probably other sports clubs out there that are still going to be operating remotely, and they'll probably be posting on like their Facebook pages. So definitely there was a campus orgs link that was sent out earlier in the chat, and that's definitely where you could find kind of like the other sports clubs and reach out to them, and then they might be even in the AIF.
Okay, let's move on to the next question. Do you have any advice on picking professors? Is Rate My Professor the best resource? I would say I would look at Rate My Professor, but just keep in mind that whoever was posting on it is either like super into the professor, I like the professor, or like really hate the professor. So yeah, I was what I would do when I was looking like the Read My Professor website is that for that class specifically, I would like to see like if the professor is heavy on tests or like how he's going to divide the grading up. So you know what, like homework, test, quiz. Will there be any pop quiz in class? Or yeah, just that kind of thing. Not just like focus solely on the rating.
Just like Jessica said, don't base, I guess, your choice like on Rate My Professor just because like everyone is either like really likes the professor or really doesn't like the professor. I also use Reddit on the UCI subreddit because a lot of students like have similar questions on Reddit about like professors, or you could like, you know, ask your question on Reddit, and there's a lot of students who are like going to answer your question.
I was also going to mention, you could also go on the Facebook class page, and then you could also say like, oh, like, does anyone have any insight, or like what's everyone's experiences like with this professor for this class? I've done that before, and like I've gotten comments when I was deciding between two professors, so that was really helpful to see like other students' perspectives and like, you know, kind of how whether there's a lot of reading or just like busy work or stuff like that as well. And also I use Rate My Professor as well. Mainly, I mean, I take it with a grain of salt, as Karen and Jessica mentioned, but I also look at like how, like if the professor offers a lot of reading, then I'm like, nope, for sure not. I'm just kidding. But yeah, like if they do stuff like that, so I look at that, or like a testing, like how many tests they offer, you know, if they have a huge final in the end, or that type of stuff, just the structure. So that gives you a lot of insight as well.
Something I also rely on is actually just like what other people tell me about the professor. Like if I know someone, or I see someone who on like Facebook or something that's already taken that class, I'll reach out and be like, hey, so how was the class? What was it like? And then that's also another really good way to get other people's advice, like more in person, or like more substantial, like you know that they're there and like you've been able to talk to them. So that's kind of like what I rely on.
And also just to add on Marimar, you can also check the Reddit website. Like there's also some comments about how the course will be or how the professors are gonna be. And also like there's a small portion of professors will have their course website. If you check one of their like website, you can check the quizzes and like practice exams or something, and you can make sure like you like or not.
Okay. Next question is, how hard are the classes at UCI compared to community college?
Wait, before we get to that question, I think we might have skipped one, unless it was just not marked off. Is that just whatever for academic success and being prepared for future works? Thank you. Did we answer that?
Follow-up question to the program question that was asked at the very beginning.
Oh, okay, never mind. Thank you.
Okay, so the original question was, what are some good programs? How do you know which one is best for us? And the follow-up was basically like programs that are good for academic success and being prepared for the future.
Well, I mean, there's a bunch of resources that you can totally, you know, hook up at UCI. I mean, we talked a lot about them. Like we talked about the division career pathways, counseling center, SARC. What was another one? There's a bunch.
Yeah,
So, oh, what was that?
the writing channel.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a bunch that you can look up. Like all the resources are great. You should take advantage of all of them, to be honest, because even a lot of them are also free. For example, counseling center, getting therapy, guess what? It's free. You don't spend hundreds of dollars for one session. So, I mean, I think taking advantage of everything is great. If you have trouble with writing, go to the writing center. If you want to look up graduate school and internships or whatever, Stark. You want to talk about jobs and internships and stuff. You got the Division of Career Pathways, bunch of stuff that you can take advantage of. Plus, I think we got a bunch of like tutoring services as well. And you got the library. Librarians will help you with like research and doing your papers, and they're still there, they're still alive, just all online now. You just have to reach out and look for them. So if there's a specific source that you're looking for, we can try helping you find that source. But again, everything at UCI is great, and take advantage of all of them now that you're at UCI.
Specifically for like business economics students, programs and organizations, I don't know the exact names of them, but I do know that we have a lot of clubs that are connected with the business kind of like world. Like we have a marketing club, we have a sports business association. So I'm going to drop the link to like the Econ department specifically, and a lot of times under there they actually list a lot of the organizations and programs that they have in connection to the majors.
So do we go back to the next question? Yeah. How hard are the classes at UCI compared to CC or high school?
So community college based wise, it's about the same. However, like it's just more fast paced just because like it's 10 weeks, and at a community college it's 16 weeks. So you're kind of doing the same amount of work, but like in 10 weeks and not 16 weeks in my experience.
No, I totally agree. Because for me, I was like, I thought it was going to be an easy transition just because community college, like the classes should be similar to how a university class is. The only problem is instead of 16 weeks, you got 10 weeks, and you got everything squished into like these few weeks. And you're like, oh my gosh, I already have finals in like what, a few days. It's really fast paced, and that's like the biggest challenge, at least for a transfer, to really get over. Same with a high school person. I mean, yeah, exact same thing. Yikes, quarter system. But I mean, after about like maybe like 2 quarters, you should be able to finally get into the flow, as long as you don't procrastinate and, keep track of everything. Don't slow down and don't try to miss class, because you will probably regret that.
I don't have transfer experience, but I have high school experience. So yeah, AP courses, yeah, no, they don't compare with college. Don't even think about it. Out the window, goodbye. It was such a lie. I remember my AP psych teacher in high school was like, if you get this, you'll get psych, no problem. And I was like, oh, this was not, this was not the truth. So yeah, even if you took like say all AP courses or almost all AP classes in high school, and you feel like, well, I took more like subjects technically during a high school year than you would in a quarter. I mean, than you would in like a UCI like UC system year. I would say like don't think it's gonna be easier. Just because high school is just really different. Like I feel like personally the AP courses I took, they since we had so much more time, like more weeks during the year allotted to that subject, each AP course, or even not even AP course subjects, like it didn't feel that hard to like keep up with the material. But even if you have less subjects, let's say like that you take during like each quarter for UC system, you just have to learn so much information during such a much more minimized period of time that you just feel kind of rushed when you get into the UC system at first. Semester system versus quarter system is very different. Like Waylon already mentioned earlier during this session, you might have a midterm the beginning of the second week, or like the second week of the quarter beginning here at UC, and that just doesn't happen in like high school. You wait until like the middle of your high school year to get like an actual like good exam, a meaty exam. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, some of your study skills might come in handy in college, but you're gonna have to do some transitioning and some changing. So don't be afraid of that. Everyone had to do it, and it's not just you. So you make sure you give yourself that time and space to actually get used to the UC atmosphere.
Okay, so the next question is, any nice and quiet spot to read near the campus?
Personally, I like going to Aldrich Park. It's nice, it's beautiful, it's beautiful green everywhere. If you look at Sam's background, that's an amazing spot to read. um, just because it's a giant park. It's like, I think it's like a mile ring around UCI. So just being there in that atmosphere, I feel like it's great. I also go to the library. Usually they have different levels, and there's like, I think it's a second level in the library that I go to that's like super quiet, and they have nice lounge chairs that I can take naps in, but I mean, you can also study. But yeah, definitely recommend those two places.
So I literally love this question so much. But anyway, so there's actually a spot that I just adore it on campus. So it's near the kind of like the School of Humanities, which if you look at a map of campus, like all the schools are in a row, like are in a ring, which kind of why it's called Ring Road. But anyway, so there's the School of Humanities, and there's specifically a building called Krager Hall, I think that's how you pronounce it. And like to the right of that, there's like this little area that has a bunch of trees and a lot of like iron tables and chairs. It's not that many, it's only like 3 or 4, but I love reading there just because I feel like, I don't know, I feel so magical. So it's definitely one of my top 5 places on campus. And the other one is definitely libraries, but I actually really prefer Langston Library because it just feels like, I don't know, it feels so homey, and I just feel like I'm really reading, you know, like I feel like a bookworm. So I literally love that library for reading. So those are like my 2 top favorite places on campus to read ever.
I mean, something really just quirky, I think, because I don't think I realized we had this space until like last year. In Langston, I really love Langston too, and I always went to the book section. Like, oh my gosh, everything in there has a book. It's a library. I'm sorry, but like, I went to like the lower floors of that library because there were just more seats, I felt like. But I don't think I ever went to like the basement section. There's like a really, really like down there section of the library, and I just kind of pushed it, or someone in the library pushed it, I guess, and like we were going down, and I was like, I thought this place was like off limits or something. I don't know. And it's just like completely quiet. Like no one is allowed to talk there, I believe. Like I think I only went like once or twice. So, but it's completely silent. Like no one else is bothering you, and there's like no one talking. I couldn't even hear someone breathing. So if you really just want like total silence, it's there for your comfort too. I just thought it was pretty cool because I never went down there.
I was going to mention the science library. I love going there because there's such beautiful views. So like if you go during the afternoon, like you could see like the sunset and then read. I just love it. I don't know. I'm like more of a science library fan. But also I also wanted to say the social science behavior gateway, which is where our office is at. I wanted to say the 3rd floor specifically, which is the anthropology department. They have a really pretty view as well, so I would recommend that too.
I just want to add, what I think is really great about campus is that like if you get the right time and place, anywhere can be a great reading spot. So like my favorite time was to go like when I didn't have class, but like class was in session, like right before I started, and get a seat, and like when everyone's in like lecture or whatever, just like that 50 minutes or hour and 20 where there's like kind of just nature. Like my background, I sat here literally every time. I love the social science lab right here. And like the sun sometimes hits just right, and it's just like, this is so like aesthetic. Like Sam says, she feels like it's like a magical place. I feel I sit there and I'm like, am I in a movie? Yes. So I think if you find any place on campus, like there are a billion places to sit. You can go on rooftops of some buildings and like look out at the campus. Seriously, just explore safely if you're gonna do so. Just, you know, find the place that works for you, because there are seriously like nooks and crannies, huge places, just seriously anywhere is a great place.
I'm still gonna recommend a place that is between computer science tower and engineering tower, I guess. There's a huge platform in the between, and maybe like during lunchtime, it might have a little sounds, but like in the morning or in the afternoon or at night, it's really quiet, and it's a perfect place to like study or yeah, just quiet sitting there.
Okay, so we're gonna move on to the next question now. What has been the best way to communicate with professors with online learning?
Personally, email. In their syllabus, they'll say, oh, here's my email if you need to contact me. They also have a list of all their TAAs, which usually they want you to contact your TAs first before doing your professor. But I mean, professors usually email. They also have office hours, and now that we're all online, we have now Zoom office hours, which is another great place to talk to your professor one-on-one. But I mean, that's my advice.
I would recommend definitely also going to office hours, just because like not only can you ask like questions about like how it's going to be or like the setup of the class, but like you're also getting to know your professor, and that's how you're like making networking. So like to get recommendations for grad school as well. Yeah.
Okay, next question. I understand that research is a big thing, and so I was just wondering this. I'm currently doing a research internship, but it is private and not related to UCI. How can I still use this internship to my advantage in UCI? Should I get a letter of rec or have a log? I would say if you want to apply to graduate school, you definitely have to get like at least 2 letter of rec from your professor, like the classes, I guess the professors that you took your class with. But you can also have like additional letter of recommendation from your employer or or like research professor, since if they're not teaching you. And how can I still use this internship to my advantage? I think if your current internship is related to your major, you can, and if you want to get another research from like UCI faculty, you can say that, so I'm doing this internship and this is the skill I have, or this is what I've done for the internship, and can I use this? Are you looking for this skills I have for your research with the professor?
And I don't know if it depends by program, but personally for me, like the letter of recommendations I'm submitting to get into law school, like they don't have to be related to UCI. They could also be from like a supervisor, or they could be from someone completely outside of the campus. Like I'm getting a letter of recommendation from an attorney that I worked under in like a law firm. So yeah, like they don't have to be affiliated with UCI. Unless something in your program that you're aiming for says like for some reason you have to get it from your institution or something like that, or it gives you clear limitations, then yeah, don't worry about such things, I would say. But if you're really not sure, just call like the admissions office for those things and they would give you a clear answer. Yeah.
I think you can also get academic credit for an internship through Social Science 197. If I think, yeah, that would be an advantage of your having an internship, even though it's not UCI related. It's still like helping you with your academics here at UCI.
Also for that, going off of what Christy said, basically if you want internship credit, you have to go through the Social Science Academic Resource Center. You have to apply. So basically, even your place that you want internship credit for, the institution or organization, it must be listed on Handshake or one of the sources listed on there. But even if you don't find it on there, you could always ask your employer or whoever is like in charge of that whole thing, like if they'd be interested in signing up for Handshake, I suppose. Or you could also still submit your application, I believe. Yeah. Even if you can't find them, and just ask like if it's still possible, like you can always give it a try. A lot of students have liked it. Like when I interned there, law students came and like asked for internship credit for the places that they're interning at, because it takes time to intern somewhere, you know, like you kind of want something out of it too. And if you can get like 4 or 2 course credits like out of it, then, and you know, that's like that's like a whole class almost, or half a class. So you should probably really check it out. I feel like a lot of students don't use it enough, like they don't hear about it. So you should look into it.
Our next question is to those of you that are transfer students. Do you feel like the classes at UCI are much more difficult than the ones at your community college? I think we kind of answered this earlier. Okay. So should we go to the next one? Okay. For this section in BE Catalog 19, 3 additional economic courses lower or upper division level that I need to take 3 classes in LD/UD, but they don't list our classes. So do I just take any classes I want in which lower division and upper division?
Yes, yeah. Basically that requirement, section 19 of your degree check, that's any lower or upper division econ class you want. I know there are like other sections that have like specific upper division classes that you can choose from, but for that one, that's just like whichever class you would like to take, as long as you haven't taken it before. Oh, also just to add on, it may not be Econ 1, so don't take Econ 1 for that requirement.
Okay, our next question is also, when should I start getting ready for grad school? Going to third year now, and who can I contact for help on this? I think you should start right now. Yeah, because I'm also like an incoming 4th years, and I'm like taking GRE, preparing for GRE, and then getting that letter of recommendation, and like who can I contact for help? I would say SARC and Division of Career Pathway. They can polish up your resume. Yeah, and they can help you with grad school related things.
Also, I just want to quickly mention, also don't feel pressured to like apply to grad school like right away. If you want to take a gap year, like do like an internship or like do research, go ahead. Let's see. So like if you want to prepare, let's say if you do want to take the gap year, I would recommend like preparing during your senior year, just because like you would have to apply like after you graduate in June, you would apply I believe in like October, around that time. So yeah, I just want to like recommend, like, don't feel pressured. If you want to take a gap year, take a gap year. But if you want to apply right away, go ahead. Congrats.
I also wanted to add, like, in terms of when you should be applying for grad school, really depends on the person, and I hate that answer personally, but yeah, it really does depend on the person. Like, if you're already planning on taking a gap year, then maybe you're gonna use that gap year to get ready for grad school, so you don't have to get ready during the school year. Or if you're doing like a 4-year graduation route and you want to apply to grad school, like you want to be enrolled into grad school like right after you graduate, the year after you graduate, then yeah, you should be getting ready right now in your 3rd year, because no matter what stage in life you are right now, you should always be getting ready for grad school a year in advance, no matter what program or like whatever you're trying to figure out. Also, yeah, definitely SARC, and I'm not biased because I interned there. It's because that's what we're actually like built to help on. Like we helped a lot of graduate students. I interned there, and I still go like every week right now. I have remote sessions with advisors there. They really help you with the whole like individual process of application. They look over your resume, they look over your CV, they look over like GRE, like LSAT, like MCAT, like all these types of exams that you might want to choose from. You also have to get ready for the entrance exam, like Jessica already mentioned, no matter what it is. It's like a whole different language personally for me, so I had to take a lot of time to get used to it. Yeah, and then you have to read through all of the information on each website about like everyone's school requirements and like the financial information too. You have to do that again. Yeah, it's basically like multiple courses in itself, honestly. So it takes a lot of time and effort. As for a lot of recommendation, if you haven't gotten it yet, I would highly recommend you start doing it now. if you're planning on graduating soon, because even if you're planning on taking a gap year and then going or taking time off after you graduate and then going to grad school, you might have lost contact with like the professors or instructors or supervisors like who you want to ask a letter of recommendation from right now, and it's best that they write the letter when like their memory's fresh. I'm not saying that you can't get a letter of recommendation after you graduate, you still can. It's just they get so many students like every year, every quarter even, that it might get harder for them to remember you. So at least keep in touch with them if you aren't going to get the letter yet.
Okay, I think we're going to move on to the next question. What happens when you finish your major requirements? Do you take electives?
I think that depends on you, on your progress. I mean, like for me, I'm almost done with all my major requirements. So now I'm like, I guess I just have to get to the 180 limit of credits, right? Because that's what I need to graduate. So yes, I guess you can take electives, take fun classes. I recommend the Disney class if you ever have fun, want to have fun, have time. I mean, you can also do other stuff. Like personally, since I'm almost done with all my major requirements, I've been looking into maybe adding a minor. Maybe that's just up to me. Again, it's all personal choice. You don't have to only take electives, but just make sure that you're at the 180 units and yeah, finish all your requirements. Make sure that everything's all good to go.
And just in case you are like finished with your 180 units and you just want to be done, you can graduate a quarter early. That's also an option.
If you feel like you have a lot of units left that you need to finish, also consider minoring in something or majoring in something if you want to challenge yourself a little. Double majoring for me has actually been very useful because it gets rid of exactly like, or it completes exactly the amount of units I need to like graduate. So it's also really nice not to have to think about what class do I have to take or what electives do I have to take like all the time. So there's perks.
Okay, I think we're going to move to the next question now. Instead of double majoring, do any of you have any experience about minoring in another school? I do. My minor is actually art history, so it's in the School of Humanities, not the School of Social Sciences. I guess like I'm pretty lucky because for most of my classes for the minor, they're not really like major restricted or anything. So it's easy for me to kind of get into those classes. But I think that if you are considering minoring in another major that's outside of your school, definitely make sure that you're able to get those classes, early on to make sure you're completing the minor. If you have questions about how to add the minor to your transcript and stuff, definitely email your academic advisor in your school. But if you have questions about the minor in particular, email the academic advisor from the school that you are considering minoring in. So yeah, basically, and some minors do have applications. So for like some of the minors in the Paul Marad School of Business, like accounting and management, you do have to apply for those.
Our last question is, are there any professors you recommend for Econ 100A for Sam and Olivia? Because I didn't take Econ 100A.
I took Professor Agrawal for Econ 100A. I personally really liked her. I thought that a lot of her notes are really straightforward and it was easy for me to follow. She also writes her notes as she goes, which is another thing that I really like. So she was definitely a professor that I'd recommend for Econ 100A.
And I also checked the scheduled classes, and there's like 3 professors for Econ 108 this fall quarter, and I only took the Professor Koi's class for 100B or A, I forgot. But yeah, I think like his teaching style is basically reading, and I'm not gonna say it's fun or anything. It's just it really teaches a lot of information, and you can learn lots of like core knowledge about this course. And the exams are a little bit challenging, but yeah, generally he's a great professor.
I'm actually looking at the schedule of classes now, and the ones that are available are Choi, Ja. Sorry if I say any of the names wrong. Choi, Ja, and Fernandez. From what I know from my econ friends, I know they've done Ja and Fernandez, and they said that they're pretty cool. They're pretty fun. I'm not sure about Choi, but I mean, I've heard good things about Ja and Fernandez.
Yeah, I can't offer any advice. I have not taken any of those professors.
I only took Econ 105A, so for QE students, I think you have to stick with one professor because, yeah, only one professor is available for each class, I think. Okay, I think we're up. Oh, wait, there's one more in the general chat. How would you recommend reviewing micro and macro econ before jumping into the upper division classes?
So I actually went back and I go through my books. Like I still have some of my old econ books. So I actually review certain sections that I wasn't really like strong on. I also look online for videos that kind of go over like specific problems. Just because like I said before, I really struggled with the mathematical section of kind of like upper div microeconomics. So yeah, I definitely recommend going online and kind of just like looking up videos for like specific, if you have like specific problems in mind. Yeah, and definitely review like terminology. I would say that.
And aside of terminology, there's also lots of graphs you need to like rememorize those because you're gonna use a lot in 100 series. And also, I think if you, I think if you like don't have the note for that, you don't need to worry about that because your professor will like 80% sure will go over them quickly when you're like taking that class.
I personally use YouTube a lot, and there's one guy I subscribe to. It's called like ACDC Econ, and I would just like look at his videos. He's like an econ teacher, I think.
So it is the end. It is about to be 3:30. If there were like some questions that were not answered, please email us our PA email. I will be putting that in the general chat. I put the transfer email, our PAA email to learn more about us, and the office of admissions. In case you guys like are still wondering what the email is to submit your I-Get-C. So thank you guys all for coming. It was nice. Your questions were appreciated. So thank you so much. Hopefully we answered all of them. And once again, if we didn't get to your question, please email us.
Karen, we have one more quick question. Just what would you say econ is a difficult major, or have you been able to manage? I would say it hasn't actually been too bad. I think that people think that it's really easy sometimes though, and it was harder than I thought it'd be just because it's really heavy on understanding concepts. So that was definitely something that I struggled with in the beginning, was definitely understanding concepts and being able to interpret graphs. So, but other than that, I would say that it's relatively easy to manage. Not easy.
I mean, for me, it's not a very difficult one, but there's lots of things you need to memorize. So like before the exams, you really need to take a day off, like to memorize your notes, your lecture notes and stuff. But you will be fine.
All right, you wonderful people, you're free to go. Thanks for staying and thanks for coming to this session. We really enjoy talking to you guys, even though we can't see you guys. So if you have any more questions, make sure you contact us. You guys are gonna do great. We believe in you.